Local, live, late breaking. This is WESH 2 News at 6.
I-4 in Central Florida has turned into an emergency runway as a pilot declares an emergency and puts his plane down on fresh pavement. Good evening. I'm Jim Payne.
And I'm Meredith McDonough. The pilot reported the engine acting funny and was cleared to land at the Orlando Executive Airport, but never made it that far. The plane landed safely along I-4 right across from the rest area in Seminole County. Traffic in both directions immediately started to back up for miles.
WESH 2 News has team coverage starting with Matt Lupoli live along I-4 where this all went down. Matt?
Jim and Meredith, you said it. Traffic has been slow for miles in both directions, just crawling. It's been very frustrating for countless people here this evening on I-4, but no big surprise that people are slowing down to get a look at this plane. It's shocking. One woman told me on Twitter her jaw dropped when she passed by just a little while ago. It was even more shocking for people who were on I-4 when the plane landed. One man I spoke to by phone says that he was spooked when the plane came right up over his truck on its descent. We've been showing you some video that he shared with us. He, of course, never expected to see this. That's, of course, the common thread here. One man we just spoke to here at the Longwood rest stop says he was astounded by this after dealing with bumper-to-bumper crawling traffic westbound all the way from Deltona. Here's what he had told us.
I just thought it was typical Friday evening traffic. Maybe an accident up here. I'm just astounded because I've never seen anything like this before.
Yet everyone that we spoke to is also just glad that the outcome here was a safe one. Obviously, since the plane made a successful landing on a patch of pavement that's new, that hasn't been opened yet, people were not affected and as far as being hurt. So they're just glad that they're dealing with just a slowdown here and that everybody is safe. Back to you guys.
Matt, thanks. WESH 2's Chopper Dan McCarthy was hovering above the plane just after 3:30 today, assessing the scene.
And Dan, you talked about how this pilot was able to make that successful landing under intense pressure.
Oh my God, yeah. You know, you're flying along the small two-seater aircraft, Husky Aviton. It's an incredibly reliable, dependable aircraft. A lot of these aircraft are used in backcountry up in Alaska. It's a Bush-type aircraft, but of course also it's a great aircraft to have down here. But he declares an emergency. He was en route to Orlando Executive Airport. He's about 9.5 miles away when his engine starts sputtering. And if you look in this area, there's really no place to land. He mentioned the tower that he was looking for a golf course to land on, and he's basically a glider at this point. He was probably at or below 1,500 feet, and he was traveling 60, 70 knots, so his glide ratio was not that good. Luckily, he looked along I-4 and saw the perfect spot, that bit of pavement that's been repaved, the I-4 expansion, and was able to put the aircraft down there safely. Of course, now because of the aircraft there, traffic is incredibly slow going. But once again, this pilot did an amazing job. I've unfortunately covered many plane crashes over the years, and by far, this is the best outcome I've ever come across. Back to you guys.
Chopper 2's Dan McCarthy live above that scene. Dan, thank you. WESH 2 News obtained the audio transmissions from the pilot as he was headed to the executive airport. Listen to the moments when he realized that he wasn't going to make it, that it wasn't an option.
She's cutting in and out. I don't know if we're going to make it again. Okay, our engine has completely died, and we're going to have to put it down right here on the side of the highway.
Pretty intense there. Now, we also spoke to a man driving along I-4 when the plane made its landing. He said that he heard a loud sound above his car. He looked up, and there he saw the plane. As you can imagine, the driver couldn't believe his eyes, but he was impressed by the pilot's flawless landing.
So I was heading from Lake Mary to Orlando, and it was coming from behind me, and it was perfectly clear, everything was good, and I hear a noise coming from behind me, and I just see a plane pop out from in front of my windshield and start landing in front of me. He did an excellent job. I mean, the one part in I-4 where no one was using, it was paved, and no one got hurt. It was an incredible thing to see.
Now, our coverage of the plane landing along I-4 construction continues throughout the night. Look for updates as the plane will be towed off the interstate right here on WESH 2 News, WESH.com, and our Facebook and Twitter pages.
We are also following breaking news tonight in Brevard County. A mother and her 2 children have been hit by a car in Rockledge. It happened just before 4 on Fisk Boulevard near Levitt Parkway. WESH 2's Dan Billow is live at the scene with the breaking details. Dan?
Jim, I can give you a little bit better outlook on things than when I last talked to you. It doesn't look quite as bad as we thought, but let me set this up for you. This is Leavitt Parkway. Going across the crosswalk was a mother riding a bike, towing her two small toddlers in a little trailer, a little kind of a buggy that goes across that crosswalk. Turning into this street off of Fisk was another driver who hit the buggy, hit those two little kids. Here's video of it. Firefighters estimated you had a roughly 2-year-old boy and a roughly 3-year-old girl who were hurt when hit by that car. The mother riding the bicycle, towing them, was okay. And the police spokeswoman that I talked to says it seems to her that this was a precautionary thing, that they transported the kids in a helicopter. Not catastrophic injuries was her impression. So we can hope at least that they're going to be okay pretty soon after a stay in the hospital. Police did talk to the driver who stayed here. We don't know if they issued that driver a citation. There was a bit of a dent in the vehicle that she was driving. They let her go, and she's gone home and may get a citation. Probably not a criminal violation here. But the kids have been taken to a hospital. We don't know their exact condition. They met trauma alert criteria, but sometimes that is because they're very, very young, and that it's just done as a precaution. We'll get their conditions for you as soon as we can. That's what happened here at Leavitt Parkway and Fisk in Rockledge. We're live in Rockledge. Dan Billow, WESH 2 News.
A Sanford man is dead, his family is heartbroken, and Sanford police chief is frustrated. Patrols are being increased after 5 shootings in a week. WESH 2's Dave McDaniel is live where the 28-year-old lost his life last night. Dave.
Well, that's right. We're here on Willow Avenue, and this is where the murder occurred less than 24 hours ago. And right now, friends and family are gathering here at this Willow Avenue address. They're going into the backyard. They're going to have a prayer vigil to remember this very popular 28-year-old who was gunned down in his own family's backyard. They say they want to choose that exact spot because they say it was one of his favorite places to meet and greet with his friends. The police chief is asking for help for the community so he can make an arrest, while the family is demanding justice.
But for them to take his life like that is senseless.
Frustrated and heartbroken, 28-year-old Toby Martin was in the backyard Thursday night with friends around 7:30 when shots were either fired from the street or from within the group. Nobody's sure because police say nobody's talking.
If you came here to rob him, you didn't get nothing. You came with nothing, you left with nothing. But you left my child there, dead.
This mother is going to bury her son here, and none of his friends are willing to come forward to talk about this issue.
Sanford's police chief clicked off the details of 5 shootings in a week. Martin's was the most serious, but bullets also flew in a neighborhood Monday when a 16-year-old was shot in the head in his bed while he slept. The video of the car stopping in front of their house is hard to make out. Sean Murrow Jr. is expected to recover, but there hasn't been an arrest. And in the case of Toby Martin's murder, with people around, the chief suggests,
if this happened to you, would you want your friends to do the same thing, to remain silent?
Smith says only Martin's family is cooperating, but he needs more to give the family the justice they seek.
I want them to go to prison. If they throw away the key, I don't care.
And again, the prayer vigil is going on in the house right behind me here, back where this murder occurred. More patrols have been promised by the police chief. He says the best way to have safe streets is a strong partnership between his police officers and the community. Reporting live in Sanford, Dave McDaniel, WESH 2 News.
The death of 3-year-old Miles Hill in a scorching hot daycare van has detectives building a case against the van driver. Deborah Denise St. Charles has a pretrial hearing next week, but today WESH 2 News obtained key evidence that will be used against her in court. WESH News investigative reporter Greg Fox talks with Miles's family about this disturbing new evidence.
Yeah. Corey Esters was visibly shaken after we showed him the police video released by the state attorney's office. It shows detectives going through the daycare center van where Corey's 3-year-old grandson, Miles Hill, died in the August heat. He had been there nearly 12 hours before anyone realized he never got off the van driven by Deborah St. Charles. She's charged in Miles' death, and this police video is part of the evidence against her.
But it does take force even unlocked, as you can hear the hinges.
Rusting doors, broken locks, and door handles.
It's recessed in.
Impossible for Miles to have escaped, and something that makes his grandfather think the daycare owner and the State Department of Children and Families are also to blame for the toddler's death.
Talking about transporting somebody's child back and forth to school, and this is the condition in which they let them operate. This is ridiculous.
Other evidence released by the state attorney include pictures of the inside of the van where Miles was found in the third row seat, a logbook showing he was routinely picked up at his grandmother's house, and a thermometer showing the van reaching 144 degrees in the midday sun. In a handwritten police statement, St. Charles wrote this about dropping off kids that morning, quote, "I did not see no kids on the van. When I picked up Miles, he was sitting in the back left." The owner of this daycare has repeatedly declined interviews. The state is working to permanently revoke the license here, and the family of Miles Hill is suing the owner. In Orlando, Greg Fox, WESH 2 News.
DCF sent this reply to our inquiry about what role the state plays in the condition of daycare vehicles. All vehicles regularly used to transport children must be inspected annually by a mechanic to ensure that they are in proper working order. Documentation by the mechanic must be maintained in the vehicle. What DCF has not said is if such a mechanic's report was ever verified by an agency inspector.
At this hour, jurors are now considering how a Deltona man convicted of murdering his family should pay for the crimes with life in prison or his life. Jurors have been deliberating since just before 3 o'clock in the case of Luis Toledo. He was convicted earlier this week of killing his wife, Yesenia Suarez, and her 2 children in October of 2013. In closing arguments, defense attorneys asked the jury to spare Toledo's life, saying he was off his meds for mental health issues and seizure disorder. But prosecutors told the panel the murders were calculated and deliberate, and he had the presence of mind to dispose of the bodies and clean the crime scene. Next on WESH 2 News at 6, we continue to follow the breaking news of a plane landing on I-4.
From the trouble in the air to the scene on the ground, WESH 2 News is breaking down the emergency landing. Tony.
And we're drying out across central Florida, but still a few wet spots. Let me take you to southern Brevard County, where right now we're seeing a couple showers in and around Micco. Straight ahead to let you know if there's going to be more Atlantic showers moving in. You're watching WESH 2 News at 6.
You're watching WESH 2.
We want to go back to our breaking news now. A plane waiting to be moved from the middle of I-4.
It made an emergency landing just east of the State Road 434 exit in Longwood just after 3:30 this afternoon, and it is still there. WESH 2's Matt Lupoli is live just across from where that plane is. Matt, still probably a mess out there, isn't it?
Yeah, traffic is still just continuing its extreme crawl in both directions. No doubt people continue to slow down to look at this plane. We're at the Longwood rest area right now. We just spoke to a man a little while ago who stopped here. He says he was in that bumper-to-bumper traffic all the way past Deltona while he made his trek home to the Wekiva area. And we can expect traffic to thin out some as the evening commute kind of wanes, but we can't expect it to get too much better until there's nothing left to see here, of course. And we are told that that plane will be towed away from here. And the big sentiment that's coming out from all this, from everybody that we talk to, is they're just glad that this slow go is really all that they're dealing with, because obviously the outcome could have been much worse. Reporting live from Longwood tonight, Matt Lupoli, WESH 2 News.
And Matt, there on the ground for us, while Chopper 2's Dan McCarthy has been in the air since a little after 3:30 this afternoon. So Dan, the pilot declared that emergency call.
Yeah, Mary, this was one lucky guy here. He did a great job putting the aircraft down on I-4 after declaring that emergency. But what they really want us to show is the traffic from up here. And you can see, you park an airplane on I-4, the results on a Friday afternoon, extremely slow-going traffic. This is the view. We're just south of the scene right now. This is I-4 heading westbound. And as Matt mentioned a moment ago, traffic is backed up all the way to DeLand. And this is what it looks like. extremely slow going, bumper to bumper, and when they get down by the rest area here where the airplane is, they finally get to open up. But this is the traffic all the way back to the land, and if we pan the camera the other way, we'd see the exact same thing coming through downtown Orlando. Some reports that it's starting to affect traffic on the 408 getting onto I-4. So this Friday afternoon, plenty of extra patience. This is a happy ending of the story as long as everyone gets home safely. Give yourself plenty of extra time, and hopefully Highway Patrol and other crews will get this airplane out of here quickly and get traffic back to normal. Reporter for the WESH 2 News team, Sharp and Dan McCarthy, back to you.
Dan, thanks. And just monitoring our social media pages, we have folks there in the car saying they're going 1 mile per hour. They're posting on our Facebook page, on our Twitter pages. So this is frustrating for folks.
They should not be on their phones while they're driving.
True.
It's dangerous. I'm just saying.
Well, it's good advice. Yeah. You can't deny that. Hey, let me take you back outside as we shift gears here for you guys right now. I want to take you back out there. No traffic downtown right now, or at least it's moving anyway. 77 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. We are looking golden for Friday night football. We have high pressure and low pressure off to our north and our east. And what that's doing, the winds are acting in tandem around high pressure and low pressure off of the Atlantic waters, and it's driving that air and picking up that moisture. You can see the curvature there of the wind from the northeast to the southwest, and that means a few coastal showers from Cape Canaveral down towards Melbourne. And right here over Grand Valkyria, Micco, we've had a couple of showers. That'll end, but we'll watch that next little streamer here right around 7:30, maybe the last parting shot before things really quiet on off before we get to mid to late evening. Temperatures outside ranging in the mid-70s along the coast to the low 80s back towards Marion, Lake, Sumter, and Polk counties. Lots of events going on tonight, one of which is the Space Coast Fair back in Vieira, 78 at 5, 75 for the circus at 7, and then for wrestling at 9 o'clock. Look at that temperature, right around 72 degrees. Football, a lot of that going on tonight. The Eagles are taking on the Braves, 76 degrees, partly cloudy skies, and no mention of any rain in that big football game. The Lake Nona Lions taking on the Wekiva Mustangs at 7 o'clock, partly cloudy skies, a light breeze, and a temperature coming in at about 75 degrees. Along the coast in the morning, we're in pretty good shape. Even through lunchtime, we're looking good. Clouds will begin to build by mid to late evening here. After 4 o'clock, there may be enough of a push of air off of the Atlantic to produce a couple of coastal showers. But overall, really, Saturday is looking pretty good, even along the coast if you want to get some beach time in. Sunday, a few more clouds and a couple more showers there by early afternoon, which will venture along and west to about I-4. The farther west you go this weekend, the better off you're going to be. We're not expecting a whole lot of rain, maybe a tenth to a quarter of an inch at most in a few locales. Overall coverage is going to be confined to I-4 and points east. Again, the darker shade of green doesn't mean heavier rain. It just means that the rain chances are just a little bit higher, 20 to 30% as opposed to 10% along or maybe just a hair west of I-4. Saturday high temperatures, warm for this time of the year. A normal high should be about 81. We'll be running about 2 to 4 degrees above that inland areas and close to that number right there at the beaches. Orlando Greek Fest. Yeah, tonight, Saturday, Sunday, looking good and mainly dry. Could be an isolated shower late in the afternoon on Sunday. If you like dry and warm weather, here's the setup for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. A westerly flow of air means we're going to be running a little bit above normal here through the middle of next week. And with that west wind, we tend to heat up here even this time of the year. So let's take a look at that weekend forecast. Remember, we set those clocks back 1 hour Saturday night before we head to bed. In the afternoon, high temperatures both days running 83 to 85. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, maybe mid and upper 80s. By the time we get to Tuesday or Wednesday, a front will arrive on Friday. More clouds, a better chance for a couple of showers. And notice the temperatures by Friday cooling back down into the upper 70s.
It is the final week of prep football's regular season.
And schools are still jockeying for playoff position tonight, Patrick.
That's right, James. A new regional seeding format in place this year and a huge rivalry game tonight that goes back decades, but means even more this year than it has in past years. In about an hour, the battle for the special barrel will commence. And this year, there's more than pride on the line for one of these schools. Live preview coming up. Okay, district champs have all been decided, but there are playoff implications in a number of area games tonight as teams, based on the FHSAA's new point system, try to secure playoff spots and suitable seedings. One such game is our game of the week, and this is the one area rivalry game that beats all others. In about an hour, the Braves will host Edgewater in the legendary Battle for the Barrel. Our Courtney Jasmine is on the ground and joins us with a live preview from Boone. Good evening, Courtney.
Good evening, Pat. As you know, it's one of the oldest rivalries in Orlando, dating back to the 50s. Now, Edgewater has dominated this series, but last year, Boone really took it to the Eagles, 44-0. I can tell you this, it shouldn't be a blowout tonight because both teams have already had a spectacular season. Now, if you look behind me, the field is still empty. Players won't be coming out until about 6:30 for the 7:30 kick. Boone comes into tonight's matchup with only 2 losses to Apopka and Winter Park. Per the point system, the Braves look to be in the postseason, but it's no guarantee. If it gets close, a win tonight will go a long way for their playoff dreams. Edgewater, on the other hand, has won its district and is excited for the postseason, but can't overlook Boone tonight. We caught up with both head coaches earlier this week.
You get a home playoff game, and we'll be playing here, and we'll know officially who we got this weekend, but we're excited to host another game here. But, you know, we know what's in front of us with Boone and a very good football team.
In the past, it had been a non-district game just to wrap up the season. You know, sometimes, you know, one or the other was going to the playoffs, sometimes both. But this year it's got some playoff implications and probably will moving forward, too.
Well, Boone has the barrel and Edgewater wants it back, Pat. It should be a fun one tonight. And again, the kickoff is at 7:30. Back inside to you.
Courtney, thanks. Mentioned that there are some terrific out-of-district matchups tonight. All of the games are out of district, and we'll have them covered on Friday Night Hits. Winter Park tries to complete an unbeaten season, but Lake Mary will have other ideas. Wekiva hosts upset-minded Lake Nona. Seminole steps down 3 classes to meet 5A Bishop Moore in Orlando. Great games tonight before the playoffs begin next week. We hope you'll join us at 11:15 for all the hits. And how about the Orlando Magic, winners of 2 of 3 on their recent road trip, now 6-2, their best start in some 7 years as they host the Bulls downtown tonight. We'll tell you how that one finished as well when we see you for Friday Night Hits at 11:15. Right now, we're off to a break. More news after this. That's our report for tonight. NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt is next.
We'll see you again tonight at 10 and 11 for continuing coverage of our breaking news with that Playing Along I-4.